It's one thing to get traffic to your site. It's another thing to actually get them to buy. And I'm Ben with Building Business, and I've got Jim Aline here, and we want to dive in on conversion. How do you maximize your conversion? So, I mean, the first place I think about is like just your website itself. And I think about this old acronym that's been used for 20 years in marketing, digital marketing, CTA.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, where the starting point is. I think a lot of people make a mistake on CTA stands for call to action. And it's the idea that whatever comes, you got to give them something to do, not just look at, do, right?
Do. So those calls to action could be schedule free estimate, get a free quote now, whatever that is. But making sure that those are also placed in the right positions on your website has a lot to do with conversion rate optimization. So if you're talking about from a website perspective, we read in a Z pattern. Mm-hmm. Go to a website, you'll read it in a Z pattern. You go across the header, down across the middle, and then across again. And so time and time again, study after study, this is the way it works. So your phone number needs to go in the upper right-hand corner, in font large enough for people to see it.
That's another thing I've noticed. It's like so microscopic, even if it's there.
It's like it's my joke of why are you playing hide and seek with your phone number? Right? Like, what are you doing? Like, isn't that the purpose of your website is to have people call you, that call, like the call to action, right?
Yep.
And then up there you can have people like to communicate in different ways. Some people don't like to call. I will tell you in contracting, it's very close to 80% of the lead flow from your website will come through a phone call versus a form submission.
Makes sense. That's what I would do. I'd pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah.
But if someone is, they're at work, they don't have, they're surfing the web and they're like, I got to do this real quick.
Yeah.
They fill out that form. And so you want to also next to that phone number, have a call to action, a button where they can go to get a quote free, get a free quote, something like that, some kind of form. And then
is it better to do the quote thing or better to book an appointment?
Book an appointment. Book an appointment.
Can't do
exactly.
The quote
like
remotely.
Telling them what you want them to do is very important, right?
Okay.
Book an appointment now. Schedule free estimate, whatever that is. That's a great point. Tell them what you want them to do.
Yep.
Makes the call to action easier.
Yeah, so the button should actually say that, not
right.
like quote.
That's right.
That's not it.
Yeah.
It's an actual like statement of motion or action that
an
you're looking
action
for.
statement. Yeah, for sure. That's a great point. And then now we're moving down in a Z pattern, and so now we have to start to have that conversation with that customer about why we are the right company to choose. So in that area, I see this too many times on people's websites. They have a very cool picture, but there's just blank space there.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's unused real estate. It's and very valuable real estate to communicate the message of your value to your perfect customer. So
I've seen a top bar over and over, and then a gigantic photo of like a really nice gutter install, let's say. And then text that's below what they call the fold. Like wherever the page what you can see when it first loads is the fold is below that, right? When they have to scroll up. And that's where you're saying the information should be up above that scrolling point.
That's right. And that's where we read in that Z and then we scroll.
Yep.
Right. So everything that you could see above the fold is the most important real estate on that page for sure. So having some bullet points communicating, the experience of your company, that you're Google 5-star rated, that you have financing options, that you're storm damage experts, that you're, depending on, communicating, we call them call outs. We put call outs there, and it's calling out the benefits of your company, of working with your company. But it also speaks to, like we talked about on other episodes, is like speaking to the fears of that homeowner, trying to alleviate the fears, give them a reason to trust even making that phone call to you. So
here's a pro tip. Like for any business right now listening, if you don't know what your quote unquote 3 uniques are, figure it out right away. And what a unique is why would somebody choose you over anybody else? Well, because we have better customer service. Anybody can duplicate that. What's super unique to you? Well, we've been in business longer than anybody else in our market. Okay, that's somebody nobody else can copy.
Yeah.
That's a unique, all right?
Yep.
So what you're talking about is like make sure your uniques are on there,
Yeah.
and also things that social proof. Like, oh, you've de-risked because you have over 2,000 Google 5-star reviews. That de-risks for the homeowner and gives you social proof. Other people thought this company was great too.
That's
so
right.
I don't need to do the homework now.
That's right. People trust an online review as much as a recommendation from a friend or family member.
Wow. Doesn't make any sense.
It's so insane, right? It's so
but we're going to use that to our advantage.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so you'd have to use that to your advantage. So showing that social proof in that regard, showing the awards and things like that. If you're the certifications, if you're a best of in your area, if you are a GAF Master Elite Contractor, OC Preferred, Platinum Preferred, if you're BBB rated, and there's so many things that people trust out there. Home Advisor top rated badge, your Angie's List badge, your all of those badges that you can use in that area that you're borrowing trust from those brands and building that into yours.
Yeah, love that. Okay, so we're on the Z here. We got our calls to action. We've got the social proofing and the uniques.
Yep.
And now what's the bottom supposed to be?
That's usually where we put those trust factors or those trust badges.
That's
those
where
trust
you
badges,
usually
right?
have those.
Yep, that's where we
I'm
would.
always shocked at how many times I have to scroll to a huge long page to get to any of that stuff.
That's right.
And it's just a picture or something.
Yep.
And by the way, I think a picture is important. I'm not saying you shouldn't have some graphics or sell, right?
They do.
But the problem is sometimes they just take over everything, and the content is really what you want to show the customer.
That's the creative, copy and creative, right? So the creative has to express your brand and express your brand voice and everything, but it can't be the main thing. It can be. It's part of it. It reflects it on a page about metal roofing. You should have images about metal. Yeah. Of metal roofs, right? You shouldn't have images of asphalt shingle. That the imagery should match what you're conveying in the copy of your website. But and that all of that increases those conversion rates.
So everybody listening should be going, man, I'm gonna go on my website right now.
Yep.
I don't know, it's anecdotal. I would say probably 60% of our customers' websites are not designed this way right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe higher.
Yeah.
It's kind of disturbing. And this is low-hanging, easy fruit that makes a huge difference. If you're going to spend all the money, like we've been talking about in all these episodes, to get people there, you have to convert. This is the most important thing.
Definitely.
Every single one matters. So, okay, now that's one thing about maximizing conversion. But what I also wonder about is timing. And what I mean by this is I can get somebody to the Job Nimbus website at a certain time of the year, and they'll convert lower than another time of the year because of the seasonality of our contracting customers. There's just sometimes when they're more likely to look for software and sometimes when they're less. Same thing with homeowners.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
You see it on your monthly revenue, right? Like, we have one of our longest clients that we have in the Minneapolis area. They pretty much take off Thanksgiving through February.
Yeah.
They do very minimal work.
The
they do minimal advertising.
It's super cold there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so what we had talked about, so in maximizing the conversion of your marketing budget, knowing how to allocate those funds at the right time is what I think you're getting at here. And so, when is your season, right? If you're a gutter cleaning company, there is a season for that. The leaves aren't falling in the gutter at a certain time of the year. Mm-hmm. If you're a roofing company, there's a time of the year, and that time varies based on the market that you're in. So allocating your resources properly. Speaking to that client in Minnesota, they come back into market, into their paid advertising into early March, and they start with a small budget.
Yeah.
And then that budget increases, increases until about June. And then June, July, August, it's full on maximizing their budget during those times. And usually they start to fade it from there because the marketing activity that they've put in those 3 months closes out their year successfully, right? So it builds enough activity that they can start to trickle out of their paid marketing spend by the end of the year. And not some things you can do that with, some things you can't, right? SEO is not something that you can do seasonally because Google doesn't stop because it's snowing.
No, and actually you hurt yourself if you're up and down
exactly.
on it. Yeah.
And even with some of the ad platforms based with the artificial intelligence that is built into scoring your ads, you don't want to completely turn things off. You want to turn them up and down, not completely turn them off. Because when you turn them off, Google has to relearn when you turn them back on. So you're back in testing phase.
Yeah.
And artificial intelligence is real. It's a real factor in marketing on Google and on Facebook. And so you want to keep feeding the machine the right information of who to bring you as a potential customer. So you never want to turn it off is the lesson there, but you do want to scale it at the right time when the most people are interested in your services.
Certainly if you're running campaigns, you want to think about the time of the year because you say, I'm going to spend $120,000 on marketing this year. You're not going to do $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
You're going to spend $2,000 for 4 of the months, and you're going to spend $4,000 for 2 of the months, and then you're going to spend $14,000 for the other months, right?
Yeah.
And so it's about really thinking more strategically about how you allocate those dollars to maximize conversion.
You're really good at math. but it's right.
You know how many times that I've had to do numbers in my head over the years? You just get better at it.
But that's what you have to do, right? You have to just tailor it to that. But then you also may have a time of year that you're putting more dollars into a specific campaign. Right. Yep. So maybe you have a spring special that really gets people in taking action. And so you may want to allocate more into that specific campaign. So it doesn't just have to be about the time of year. It can be into a specific campaign in relation to that time of year too.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
Thanks so much for joining us. You've got to go to jobnimbus.com/building business now. We've got a bunch of resources there. There's tips and tricks, there's industry insights, and all of it is free. So go and check it out right away. Job Nimbus is the best software tool to get you more organized, more efficient, and frankly, to give you your life back so you can have some life balance as you run your business.
For more information about roofer marketers, go to roofermarketers.com and get a copy of our free book, The Best Known Roofer, the omnipresent framework for your roofing company.